I was just on a plane, as I often am, writing my journal, and it just arrived, the title, Drastic Fantastic. Just thought, wow, that's good. And I like that it rhymes, and I like that it sounds... It's kind of that 70s futuristic thing, where there's a lot of fun in it, and there was something sort of quite glam about it as well, which I really liked, and which is reflected in the album cover, and it just felt exciting, and I think that's where I've ended up now after having a first album and touring and all of it. It's just going, it is really drastic what's happened, and it's fantastic at the same time. You know, the other day I was in a helicopter in the French Alps, and when I woke, I had breakfast, got in a helicopter in the French Alps, and then went to bed with a cup of tea looking at the Empire State Building, going, surely that's not really possible. And you also, because you've travelled, you have 6 hours extra. So you have a longer day than your normal, you know, and it's just, you meet incredible people. I mean, that's one of the fantastic things. That's the really good passport that you get given with some success, is that you just meet amazing people all the time. And then you just have really bizarre things happen to you all the time because you're in strange places. And also, you attract strange things happening to you because people know who you are, and just very odd. And so it just feels you've got a plot, you've got kind of peril, and you've got triumph, and you've got weird characters, and it's all very conducive to a little comic book world. My little kind of idea for the album was the treacherous path to paradise. How much will you risk to find your nirvana, and how deep will you dig? Because, you know, the deeper you dig, the darker it gets and the scarier it is, but the more you can fit in the hole, you know. It's just sort of that bravery of what you'll do to get what you want. My dream was always just to sort of have a fairly feral life, of a nomadic existence, of getting on a bus, doing gigs with a bunch of friends, who, you know, with a kind of extended family, and that's what's happened. So it was never really to get rich and famous. It was always just to go and get, which sounds very self-righteous, doesn't it? But it really wasn't. It was just a wish to go out and play gigs for a living and not have to do a job. So it's all a bonus, really, all the other stuff. Rich and famous has sort of come into it now, and it's really kind of dawned on me that the famous part of it, there's a lot of choice in it. There's a lot of choice in it. So you can decide whether to get your people to make the phone call to let someone know that you're going to buy shoes in a certain shop, and you'll get your photo taken. And if you don't make that phone call, no one takes your photo and you don't get in a magazine. And that's what I prefer, is to just go and buy some shoes, you know. If it all happened in my early 20s, I think I'd be in a lot of trouble. I think I'd be drinking too much, and I think I'd probably be much more tempted by a change of lifestyle. Whereas for me, it's like, you know, my friends, I've got old friends, and you really cherish that. And so, I mean, it's not like I suddenly want to change all my friends, you know, swap out friends for new famous friends, and, you know, I live in the same place, have the same mates, and that's everything. If you don't have that, there's no point in having the rest of it. You can't share it. Obviously, being able to sing and play guitar and write songs is helpful, but in terms of dealing with what's happened, the best thing is knowing what you don't want. You know, everybody wants to have a great time, everybody wants to do what they're passionate about for a living, and everybody wants to be celebrated for what they do, but knowing what you don't want is almost just as important. And being I mean, I was in my very late 20s. I was almost 30 when this all happened. So I think I was 28. So it was really great, because through my 20s, I was like, I know everything. Nothing to learn. You can teach me nothing. I'm fine. Don't need to listen to you. And then 30th birthday was just this brilliant experience of just going, God, I was totally clueless and a bit of a twat. And now I'm 30 and I'm doing what I want to do and I don't know anything. And I'm just going to be a sponge and just try and learn stuff. You kind of let go a little bit as well, which has been great. And, you know, picking your battles and not being uptight about stuff that really doesn't matter. And that's a big deal because there's a lot to navigate when you have success. And there's a lot of, you know, you can get very, very wound up about stuff that really, really doesn't matter. I heard this brilliant theory that you cease to mentally progress from the age at which you become famous. And you just think, Michael Jackson, 5. Mick Jagger, 18. And it's not, I mean, it sounds quite derogatory, but it's actually quite an interesting idea because you're celebrated and there must be this enormous pressure for you to remain whatever it was that everybody was so excited about. You know, Patti Smith was 27 when Horses came out. Debbie Harry was 34, I think, when Blondie hit, and Sheryl Crow was in her 30s by the time she had her first album, and they're artists with real longevity, and I think that there's a massive advantage in getting to the point where you're just like, do you know what? Life is actually quite short, and I don't want to do stuff I don't want to do because there's actually not really enough time to do stuff that you think's rubbish or stuff that you think is selling out or stuff that you think is under the kind of quality that you could produce. So you just go, no, why would I do that? You know, and I know that if I was 21 rather than 31, I would go, oh yes, I should do it. Oh, definitely. If I don't do that, maybe it'll all go wrong. And I'd just go ahead and do it. So it's really a huge thing for me, and I'm very grateful for that. I made it to 30 before I stopped mentally progressing. It's not bad. The more success you have, the more things are done for you, and you become completely incapable of looking after yourself at all. And I remember being in an airport recently just going, oh my God, I'm on my own. Where do I go? What do I do? Will I be able to get on the plane? It's pathetic. You just turn into a kid completely. And then many people talk about coming back off tour. And I, you know, before I went out on tour myself, I had new friends who were on tour, and they'd say coming back off tour is a horrific experience because suddenly you're like, I've got a bill to pay and I've got dishes that need washing and it's awful. And it's really, you know, you become completely pathetic. But to be honest, my better half treats me better than I could ever imagine having he's a saint. It's quite a lot of pressure, actually. You know, when he gets ill, I'm like, oh no, how can I be as nice to him as he is to me? Am I capable? It's been great with this with Drastic Fantastic, because with Eye to the Telescope, I felt like I'd been listening to Tapestry by Carole King a lot, and I really wanted to do this kind of introductory, very old school, traditional album where it was songs and good musicians and well played and meaningful. And this time around I thought, right, I can kind of stray, play it really badly, make sure it doesn't mean anything. No, I'm joking. You know, just be a bit quirkier with it. Because I felt that the people who were get into my music and the fans who were into it really had a sense of what I was about, and they'd got it. They really, I couldn't be happier with how I'm publicly perceived, because to me, the feedback I get from fans who I'm in touch with quite a lot, they've totally, there's been no blockage in me trying to communicate what I'm about and what they get. So I felt like I could kind of push it a little bit more this time.